Get that fucking trash out of your life. You have legacies to build. We grew that business from 3.4 million to 17.1. Horsepower, not horse shit. You want to be the parent that's an ally. They don't need another fucking friend. Not everybody's cup of whiskey. Toughest advice for the toughest businessmen. Be relentless. This nice lady named Judy Dempson, really nice lady. One time she was the president of the Lanark Animal Welfare Society, and I was on the board of directors. I would raise funds for the animal shelter, and she was the president. What a terrific, terrific lady. And one time she told my wife Krista, she goes, "I think Michael has brain damage. I think Michael has brain damage." And I always got a chuckle out of that because she was probably right. I was a little obsessed at the time with rollerblading the dogs that were in quarantine at the animal shelter. So visualize this. It's a small animal shelter here in Canada. And this is pre-Emery, our daughter Emery, 10-year-old daughter. So we're going back more than 10 years. Krista and I were together, newly married. And one of the things that I did in the community is I raised all kinds of money for this animal rescue shelter. It was dogs and cats. It was 30 dogs and about 110 cats. And I would raise all kinds of money through my different marketing things. I'd put on speeches, I'd sell products, and I raised lots of money. That's for one of those causes. I also worked with the food bank at the time and also children's literacy, but very close to my heart was the rescue dogs, the abandoned dogs. So one of the things that I did is in the afternoons, about 3 o'clock, after I was sitting at the office for about 6 or 7 hours, I always carried my rollerblades with me in the truck. And I one night I was at a meeting at Laws, the shelter, and they said to me, they said, "Oh, this beautiful golden retriever came in last night. He bit somebody. It was some guy that was intoxicated, and the golden retriever bit him. And unfortunately, we have to put the golden retriever in quarantine. And quarantine, when it comes to animals, is they're inside this little crate. It's like 4 feet by 3 feet. They're not around the other animals, and they're kept in there like 24 hours a day. They let the dog out twice a day on a leash to to do his business on the grass. And they took me down that night after. I said, well, I have to see this golden because I love golden retrievers. So they take me down to the basement of the shelter, and they have like 5 dogs in there that are in quarantine. Whatever, they're in there because they can't be around somebody else. And then they basically, if it's a dog bite, they make sure that the dog isn't, vicious or dangerous. And in most cases, the dog is put to sleep. So I go down and see this dog, and he's a big, beautiful golden retriever. He's about 95 pounds, and he's in this little crate, and he's been in there for a day. And I go and see him and stuff like that, and I talk to him a little bit. And then I asked if I could take him out, and they said, of course you can take him out. I'm not supposed to be near him. Nobody's supposed to be near him, but I'm on the board of directors, right? So I all of a sudden a light bulb goes off in my head. And I was like, I go, how's he doing? And they said, well, he's not doing very well. And all of a sudden, he's away from his family. They've had to give him up because the police were called. This drunk guy came on the lawn, and the dog gets blamed, right? I guess this drunk guy wandered onto the lawn where the kids were, and this dog, attacked him. And because he attacked him, I mean, that's just the way it went. So I didn't agree with it, but I don't have a lot to say, so control the controllable. So I'm sitting there, and he's sad and stuff, and I take him out on his leash for a little pee on the grass. And then I remembered the light bulb went off. I went, man, I got my rollerblades in the truck. Do you think I could take him for a run? And they have this beautiful paved road outside the shelter. It's in the country. It's about 10 minutes outside of town. And they, the people on the thing, they're like, of course, do what you want, right? So I hook them up. It's like 8 o'clock at night, and I just put the hook on him with the leash, and I literally just take him out on the street, and we just go. Like we go. This dog has been in a cage for 24 hours. He's anxious, he's depressed, he doesn't know what's going on, he's got all this negative energy, and boom, we hit the street, and we just headed north. And I can skate on a pair of rollerblades. I've been on skates since I was 2 years old, and I got the good NHL style rollerblades. So away we go. I barely even had to push or take a stride. And we literally went a mile this way on this beautiful paved road. There's no traffic. And then after about a mile, I mean, the dog, he's gone to the bathroom, he's stopped, the tongue's hanging out the side, the big smile on his face. And then after a mile, I said, okay, and we head back. And we went back another mile back to the shelter. So we get back to the shelter, and this dog is like, he's lying down on the ground, he's got the tongue hanging out, the big smile, the eyes, and he's just in heaven, right? You can tell when pure joy would be the words, pure joy. So he went from anxious and depressed and scared and all this other stuff to exercise on the rollerblades. So I was like, wow, that was good for me, that was good for him, and I'm so happy to do that. So I asked the girls who were on the board, I said, do you mind if I drop by a few days a week and do that with him, as long as he's in quarantine? He's going to be in here for a month, and also some of the other dogs. And they're like, sure, we'll tell the staff, we're happy, Michael, if you're crazy enough to do it. They just couldn't believe their eyes, right? I went zooming by, I'm going about 35 miles an hour on these rollerblades, and he's pulling me as fast as we could. And sure, if anything happens, well, you know, something happens, but I'm fearless when it comes to that stuff. So it was like water skiing behind a jet ski. It was just an incredible feeling, and it really helped the dog. So it was awesome. So it's interesting. This became, I would go over every night. I'd go over every afternoon, late afternoon and night, and I would take him for a rollerblade. I couldn't do any more than that because I was working, but I'd go over there, and I had this relationship with this dog. His name was Bear at the end. He was like gorgeous, gorgeous dog, beautiful, friendly dog. And after his 30 days, they said, okay, he's okay. We're going to find him a forever home. So Krista and I actually took him. We had him in our home for about, I don't know, maybe 10 days. And what Krista and I started doing with him and some other dogs, we did it with him, is we said, okay, we already have our own golden retriever, but let's find him his forever home. Well, how do you think we did it? I was working, I own McLean Insurance, and at the time I had an email list of about, I'm gonna say about 30,000 people on my email list. These were people that from all around our area, all around, 100 miles, that I emailed every week about insurance. I emailed them about contests, movie giveaways, sports tickets, you name it. And I had a relationship with these 25,000 people. I built this email list up from zero. So when it came to raising funds in the community, it was an amazing power to have. I could just sit down for 10 minutes and I could write a simple email, plain text email, and I could press send, and I could literally fundraise money for the food bank, for children's literacy, and in this case, to help the animal shelter. So what I did is I shot this quick little video of me and Bear telling them about the dog, and all this kind of stuff, being clear and candid about his history. And I wrote the little email, and I said, this dog is up for adoption for the perfect home. We need this. And I pressed send. And literally, because I used to get the replies, I literally had like 70 or 80 people reply. And if they weren't interested in seeing the dog, they knew somebody who was. And it was amazing because we filtered it down to 1 or 2 people. And we had the dog. We were fostering him in our house. And as bittersweet as it was to see him go, it was actually the first family that came to see him. And they said, Michael, we live on a 50-acre farm. We have other dogs and horses. If you want to bring them over and test them and see the whole thing. So to make a short story long, I took them over a few days later to their house, and within 20 minutes we knew that it was his perfect forever home. Like, there was no denying it. He was great with the farm animals. He was great with the other dogs. He had 50 acres to live out the rest of his life. He's still going, by the way. I checked in last month, and he's still there, and he's still going strong. He's like 12 years old now. And it just brings a smile to my face remembering me rollerblading that big lug. And he was, I didn't know if he was even going to make it out of the quarantine. And he was in sad shape when they had him caged in there 24 hours a day. So it just shows you the power of having an email list. I know you'll use it for your business as an entrepreneur. You'll use it to sell your products and services like I did. I would send an email once a week, and it would flood my agency, flood my barbershop, flood my hockey team with leads, with referrals, with buyers, literally people that are begging to buy your products and services. It's that simple. I would sit down in my boxer shorts at the kitchen table, and I got so good I could write an email in 10 minutes, and I would press send, and I would literally swamp the agency or the barber shop with appointments. It's the honey that brings in the money. It's the email is the eighth wonder of the marketing world, and it's almost free. You have to pay for the software, and that's it. So it's not expensive like sending postcards. It's not expensive like sending newsletters. You just sit down and you send a simple plain text email, no videos, and it's the honey that brings in the money. And you can start with no list like I did at zero. You can build it to 100 people, to 500 people, to 1,000 people. And at the end, I got mine up to 63,000 people. An email on your list is worth $1 per month. That's the metric if you're no damn good. If you're no good at it at all, so if you have a list of 500 people on your email list, once you get to that level, that's $500 a month. A month times 12 months. If you get your list up to 1,000, that's $1,000 a month by sending one email a week, and times 12. And just think about that, I built my email list up to 63,000. That was $63,000 a month times 12. And you can start at zero. I started at zero in the hockey business. I started at ground zero. At the barber shop, scratch. I didn't have a single person on there, and I gradually built it up every week. I'll show you the software to use. I'll show you how to capture emails. I'll write the emails for you. I'll write 52 emails this year for you. Every week I'll write an email that you can personalize. So it's soup to nuts for the whole year. And I'm starting up a little mastermind. I'm only allowing 100 of my friends to be in it. I've made it so affordable for the small business owner, it's a joke. I'm not charging $1,000 a month, which I should be. I'm charging $147 for civilians, $147, and only $97 for my insiders, my mastermind members and my newsletter brothers. That's cup of coffee a day material, guys. If you don't want to create an avalanche of leads and buyers and cash flow into your business every week for the price of a cup of coffee a day, you're not a serious entrepreneur. So I've made it affordable, $147 and $97 for my insiders. That's cup of coffee. That's $3.25 a day territory. And the other thing that's great about email is you can use it for community service, just like the story I told you. Like, I used it with the food bank when my brown paper bag campaign. I used email to raise tens of thousands of dollars to get all kinds of food donated. How'd I do it? I would email my list that it's time to fill the shelves at the food bank. And then 4 months later, I would send an email out to my list that it's time to raise money for the Grow With Books literacy program for young kids. And we would raise thousands of dollars for that. And then if there was an emergency in the community, I would send out a couple emails to my list. Let's help these people who lost their home in a fire, that kind of stuff. And I even did it with the animal dog rescues, where I was like, okay, we did that 5 times a year, where we would send an email to the list, and it was like, boom, those dogs would be rescued. Some of them we brought them home. Some of them people just went to the animal rescue people, couldn't believe it. They're like, Michael, that dog has been adopted today. That dog has been adopted today. So that's one of the things, rollerblading the dogs and then using my email list to find them their forever home. That's what Krista and I used to do pre-Emery. So not only will email fill your business with leads and buyers and cash flow, but don't forget you're building an asset that can help you in the community. It can help build your legacy of service, because when you need to support something that's really important in your world or your community, you're one press of a button away from being able to do it. And I do that today. My daughter's lemonade stands. We raise funds for all kinds of things, and it all starts with that power of that email list that I have. So I'm starting this little mastermind, 100 guys only, emailmillions.coach. I didn't put any fancy sales page together. If you can't put this together in your mind that this is the best investment you could ever make, there's no hope. Emailmillions.coach. It's almost full. May 31st is the deadline. If you don't get in by then you're going to be left standing on the sidelines. I'll write the emails for you this year. After the year, you'll be able to do it yourself. You can cancel at any time. After a month or 2 or 6 months, if you say, I don't need this anymore, you just let Leanne know and walk away. No harm, no foul. But I'm telling you right now, for a cup of coffee a day, you're going to be able to do so much good in your community. You're going to be able to raise so much awareness and so much money for causes that you believe in. It's not just about your own money. It's not just about your own success. That'll come as well. But also using your email list to make a big difference in this world, to become a force for good. Your email list can help you become a force for good in your community when you're needed. And that to me is ultimate badass power. Emailmillions.coach, and I look forward to working with you starting this June.